Welcome to SVG-TV News for Tuesday, March 29th, 2022. I am Rochelle Baptiste with the details. With the March 31st deadline approaching for the filing of income tax returns, Comptroller of the Inland Revenue Department has again expressed concern about employers who have not submitted employees' pay-as-you-earn deductions. Kelvin Pompey spoke on the issue today with SVG-TV News as the department prepares to close out filing for the 2021 financial year. Pompey said the department has seen a high number of non-compliant businesses this year who have not filed employees' end-of-year deductions, adding late filing will stall the process of tax returns.
Point in time, we are concerned because to date our statistics relating to the filing of the end-of-year PAYE packages is not what it should be. We are actually below last year's figures, and I think for the past several years we're at the lowest at this point. And I want to make a special appeal to employers who have not yet submitted their end-of-year packages. Without these PAYE packages, we are unable to process the returns for employees, and so employees who have a payable may end up having to incur interest and penalty because of the late filing of these, or if they have a refund, they may not end up getting it within a particular time frame, since we process on a first-in, first-out basis. And I want to encourage persons, employers at this point, who have not yet submitted their PAYE packages to do so by the 31st of March. We are currently engaging employers who have not submitted, and there is a penalty, a fine of $20,000 for the non-submission of PAYE packages, as well as imprisonment of up to 1 year. So I do hope that employers who are listening will take the time out to ensure that they file these PAYE returns, because without it, the department's ability to process the returns of employees would be retarded.
Pompey said while the department is willing to work with businesses to bring filing up to date, they are prepared to administer penalties under the Income Tax Act.
We have always, I think, used in the past, used the carrot approach to taxation. That is, we give the information, we educate taxpayers, and we hope that they would comply. And to a large extent, we are seeing and reaping the benefits of that. However, there are still a small, thankfully small, core of taxpayers who require a certain level of persuasive treatment from the department. And so we have been strengthening our legal capacity. We now have 2 lawyers on board, and we are in a position where we can and have been enforcing in terms of the penalties prescribed under the Income Tax Act. But at the same time, we are using, I think, from my assessment, and being forced to use a bit more of the stick. While we continue to use a carrot approach, we have been using a bit more of the stick in terms of getting the necessary compliance from delinquent taxpayers.
And the newly established Taxpayer Intelligence and Investigative Unit of the Inland Revenue Department is on the alert for businesses who are engaging in tax avoidance practices. The unit is tasked with investigating businesses to ensure all practices are in accordance with SVG's tax laws. Comptroller of the Inland Revenue Department, Kelvin Pompey, said the unit has been making good progress so far.
We have established a Taxpayer Intelligence and Investigative Unit, and of course we now have persons whose job it is to be out there and to be the department snoop, if you can call it such, to ensure that we pick up practices and that we think run counter to good taxation, good tax practices, and that is proven to be very, very effective. Sometimes the books and records do not show the full picture of a taxpayer's activities and business, and we have come to recognize that we need to go beyond the books to sometimes get a full feel of the taxpayer's level or tax exposure. And so this unit would basically be seeking to find additional information, and in terms of who owns businesses and who are basically the beneficial owner of certain businesses, and to examine practices that are brought to our attention in terms of tax avoidance.
Pompey said the department has recognized a concerning trend, especially in the retail sector, where businesses enter lower amounts at point of sale in an attempt to record a lower taxable income. Pompey urged shoppers to request receipts of all transactions.
Well, what we have identified is that there are some businesses, especially in the retail merchandising sector, where customers would go and purchase something, let's say for $50, but $5 would be rung up on the bill. And because persons are not in the habit of examining their receipts, in most cases this practice go unnoticed. And so I want to encourage persons that you buy something, you pay for service, please ask for a receipt. You are supposed to get one whenever you pay for goods and services, and examine the receipt to ensure that what you purchase is actually what is on the receipt. Our auditing system relies on these receipts and documents when we go to audit businesses, and if the receipts are showing a low amount, that is the amount that the taxpayers are going to declare essentially on their financial statements. And so if these receipts become unreliable, it means that the department's ability to ensure that taxpayers are declaring their correct amount could be hampered.
This week is being recognized as Tax Week in SVG, and individuals and businesses are reminded to file their taxes by Thursday, March 31st, 2022. In other news now, Minister of Education Curtis King last Thursday was unable to provide Parliament with the specific number of cases of COVID-19 recorded in schools among teachers, students, and others during the 2 school terms, noting that his ministry is working on completing the data. He was at the time responding to a question from opposition MP for the Southern Grenadines, Terence Oliver, on COVID-19 cases recorded in schools for the period. The education minister said for the first term, almost 380 students tested positive for COVID-19.
We are indeed aware that many of our students, teachers, and other staff members have contracted the virus. However, the data collation has not yet been completed. I will, however, provide the information whenever it becomes available. What I can report is the information for the number of cases among students in Term 1. And Term 1 ran from the 18th of October to the 16th of December 2021. The figures show that there were 52 preschoolers, 186 primary school students, and 141 secondary school students, giving a total of 379 students who are reported to have contracted the virus.
Minister King said the Ministry of Education and the Ministry of Health and other stakeholders continue to work together to ensure the safety of all students and teachers in SVG.
We follow the guidelines for the safe operation of all schools as outlined by the NEMO Health Service Subcommittee COVID-19 recommendations. Virtual learning, the wearing of masks, keeping physically distant from their peers and others, constantly washing and sanitizing hands are elements of a new reality that teachers, students, and other staff members have had to adapt to managing ongoing risk.
The Education Minister further highlighted some of the resources and services that were provided to schools, students and teachers to operate in a safe environment during the pandemic.
This included providing training for teachers to support virtual learning during the time schools were closed. When schools returned to face-to-face classes, the Ministry of Education provided extra cleaning agents, wash stations, extra janitors, and security officers for schools where there were no such officers. Thermometers were also provided for temperature checks to be done at the entrance to the schools. These measures were taken to increase the safety of stakeholders using the various school plans. We continue to provide the resources to meet the needs of our students, teachers, and other staff members during the academic year 2021-2022.
The 20 farmers whose 25 acres of farming lands will be impacted by the quarry project in Richmond will benefit from increased production on the new lots they will be transferred to, which are said to be better for farming. Responding to a question in Parliament about the total size of agricultural lands that will become unavailable to farmers in that area due to the granting of the license for quarry operations, Agriculture Minister Subota Caesar noted that a significant percent of the lands that were under cultivation were too hilly and marginalized for farming.
Interestingly, Madam Speaker, owing to the fact that the cultivation will be transferred to other lots, most of which are on more favorable lands, you can witness actually an increase in production and not a decrease. The lands for the quarry, a significant percentage of these lands were very hilly and marginal lands in the first place for agriculture. So the draft of the question was of the view that if the farmers are removed, that there will be a reduction in production. In fact, you can witness an increase in production because the lands that they were farming, if the lands are really good, you can't have lands excellent for quarry and excellent for agriculture.
Minister Caesar said his ministry and partners are working on compensating the affected farmers and also to address the issue of finding new farmlands.
Assessment was done of the crops, valued at $261,000. A document will be prepared by the Ministry of Agriculture for the swift payment of these farmers. And the Ministry of Agriculture, the Medicinal Cannabis Authority, and the Department of Lands and Surveys, we are actively working to address the issue of finding the alternative locations. And I am aware, it is public knowledge, that several landowners have been contacted, and the issue of alternative state lands, that issue has arisen. I'm obliged.
Representatives of the company responsible for the construction of the Black Sands resorts at Peter's Hope are set to arrive on island to meet with government officials. The meeting will discuss the lack of progress on the project. Minister of Finance Camilo Gonzalez said the government has already communicated its frustration about the delays of the project to the chairman of Pace Development, Inc., Joseph Romano. Minister Gonzalez told listeners on WeFM Issues at Hand program last Sunday that the company representatives are set to arrive on island within the next week or two.
Their original commitments, that hotel should be done. It should be completed by now. They have said, and we accept, that COVID was a challenge and that the volcano was a challenge. But even before COVID and the volcano, they were behind schedule. So we have indicated our dissatisfaction with the progress of that project. They have recommitted and said that this thing is going to get done, and they're coming to make a presentation to us. I believe it's next week or the week after that they're coming in to make that presentation.
Minister Gonzalez said the government has a plan in place if the project continues to experience setbacks.
Has levers that we can pull to ensure that project accelerates or is completed, or that other alternative things take place. Because when you come in to develop a project like that, and you're a foreign direct investor, you have to sign something called an alien landholding license, and that alien landholding license has conditions in it. That you promise you'll spend X number of dollars by this time of year, that you promise you'll hire X number of people, that you promise you will construct X number of rooms in so many months or so many years, and there are consequences if you don't do those things. And the ultimate consequence is that the land can be forfeited to the government.
Leader of the Unity Labour Party, Prime Minister Dr. Ralph Gonzalez, said the party is preparing to welcome new leadership as he approaches the end of his political career. In an address to mark the party's 21st anniversary of governance, PM Gonzalez said the ULP is now at the stage where it has to refresh and renew its leadership.
The time will come that I will have to leave as leader of the party. And we'd have to elect another leader to succeed me. We have to have another person who would become prime minister. I can't be there for life, because it is in the nature of life and living that you have to refresh and you have to renew. But the party goes on.
PM Gonzalez quoted a speech made at the inaugural convention of the ULP in 1994 titled Forging New Paths in Unity, where he said new political blood is necessary for the continuation of the party.
But what I'm saying here applies to every single set of elections and into the leadership of our party on an ongoing basis. It is vital that we have the preferred persons in the top leadership positions in the party and other candidates for the general elections. We must have new faces, new blood, with new ideas and skills, and with links with the people. Notice, you must not only must we have new faces and new political blood with new ideas and skills, and with links with the people. You must have links with the people.
The ULP leader said the party will also be pushing the younger members to the forefront.
And then he look at our side, as Julian was naming them out. He said, look, watch it. There's Camilo. There's Saboto. There's Carlos. There is Randy Brewster. There is Kisal Peters. There is our comrade sister, the senator who will try to put pressure on. Comrade sister Morgan. You notice how we took everything in our stride. We deal with them. There's Pitbull, Rashad Bala, the humble African, Augustus he's there now. This is his third term. Augustus is in his late 40s. He has been a minister now. This is his third term. And we had a plan for transition. And you notice how the plan is taking place seamlessly.
And the opposition New Democratic Party is mourning the passing of a founding member, former MP for North Leeward, Calder Williams. Williams had the distinction of being the first elected MP for the NDP on mainland St. Vincent. In 1979, the people of Fitzhugh told Sir James Mitchell, no Calder, no NDP. This happened the very day that the NDP went to North Leeward to launch its candidate, St. Clair Robinson Sr. Calder was a budding trade unionist who at the time organized the estate workers into a formidable force. Most workers were supporters of Joshua's PPP, with Mitchell at the time said to claim the supporters of the PPP for the newly established NDP. It is said that the people made the right call, and at 26 years old, Calder Williams became the NDP's candidate for North Leeward and later the elected MP. He was also leader of the opposition. He served many years as the chairman for the NDP North Leeward constituency division. Williams served SVG in many capacities as a farmer, a cricketer, a teacher, and a police officer. Roland Patel Matthews, who lost the North Leeward seat in the last general election to the ULP's Carlos James, wrote in a Facebook post today, "This man taught me a lot about politics, and I owe him a great deal." Two large bushfires at Dorset Hill yesterday, Monday, March 28, 2022, scorched a large portion of the landscape, destroyed fruit trees and at least 3 vehicles. The fires also threatened several homes and the Dorset Hill Primary School. One of the fires, which started around 3 p.m., burnt for hours and got under control around 9 p.m. That fire spread through several lands, destroying 3 vehicles reportedly belonging to a former police officer living in the area. The other fire below the Dorset Hill Primary School and the obelisk started after 8 p.m. last evening. It destroyed several plants and almost reached the school property before it was put out. The fire department said that it is carrying out investigations into how the fires got started and is again appealing to persons to desist from lighting bushfires at this time. An investigation has been launched into a shooting incident that occurred on Sunday, March 27, 2022 at Arnesville, which left Andy Batiste, a 35-year-old laborer of Sion Hill, dead. The police say preliminary investigations reveal that on Sunday, March 27th at 2:20 a.m. Batiste was hanging out at Arnesville in the vicinity of Option Supermarket, Status nightclub. He was later approached by an assailant and shot multiple times about his body with a gun. He was subsequently transported to the Milton Cater Memorial Hospital for medical attention and later succumbed to his injuries. A post-mortem examination is expected to be performed on the body to ascertain the exact cause of death. The police say investigations in the matter are ongoing and are asking persons with information that can assist with the investigation to contact the Assistant Commissioner of Police in charge of crimes at telephone number 1784-457-1211, the officer in charge of the Criminal Investigations Department at 1784-456-1810, or the officer in charge of the South Central Division at 1784-458-4200, or any police station or police officer you are comfortable with. All information received will be treated confidentially, according to the police. And prison officer and political activist Kenson King is on $4,000 bail with one surety after being charged with 3 counts of uttering seditious words. The police say investigations reveal that on 3 occasions King uttered seditious words which are liable to cause a breach of the peace. The 35-year-old Park Hill resident appeared before the Kingston Magistrate Court on Monday and pleaded not guilty to all charges. The matter was adjourned to April 25th, 2022. In more police news, Monisha Davis, a 35-year-old laborer of Bayabu, was arrested and charged with the offenses damage to property and theft. The accused allegedly, without lawful excuse, damaged one 32-inch aluminum and glass door valued at $950. The accused was further charged with entering the business, embroidered it, and stole a quantity of clothing valued at $6,598 EC dollars, the property of a 37-year-old businessman of Dorsetshire Hill. The incident occurred in Middle Street, Kingston, between 12:15 p.m. on March 19th and 7:10 a.m. on March 21st, 2022. Davis is expected to appear before the magistrate court to answer the charges. In another incident, the police arrested and charged Kamal Small, a 30-year-old laborer of Penistone, with the offenses of aggravated burglary and grievous bodily harm. The accused allegedly entered the dwelling house of a 39-year-old laborer of the same address and at the time had a cutlass as a weapon. He was also charged with unlawfully and maliciously inflicting grievous bodily harm to the 39-year-old laborer by biting off a piece of his ear. The incident occurred at Dubois about 10:50 a.m. on Tuesday, March 22nd.